Welcome to AI Journal Club, the digital pathology podcast segment where we take a closer look at the research shaping AI in pathology. This episode is one of our AI-powered summaries series, AI-generated deep dive into a paper worth your attention. It's curated from our weekly DigiPath Digest live stream that I run every Friday morning. I'm Dr. Alex Żuraw, and this is your shortcut to stay current. Let's dive into it.
Welcome back, Trailblazers, to another session of the Digital Pathology Podcast.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this discussion today.
Same here, because today we are taking a deep dive into something that's sounds simple, but is actually, causing massive silent chaos across healthcare innovation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It is a staggering problem.
Yeah.
And it's entirely invisible until it causes a major crisis.
Right. Imagine a hospital spends, $2 million on a state-of-the-art AI diagnostic tool.
Just a huge investment.
Exactly. And the software developer swears up and down that the algorithm is validated. The venture capitalists backing it, they promise it's validated too.
But then they actually deploy it.
Yeah, the very first week it's deployed in the hospital's pathology lab, the AI just fails completely. It misreads slides, it flags the wrong cells, it has to be pulled from the floor.
And the wild part is the code wasn't broken.
No. The issue was that neither the developer, nor the investor, nor the hospital director actually agreed on what the word validated meant.
Right. When different teams don't share a fundamental understanding of, what constitutes evidence, you end up selling the wrong assurances to the wrong audience.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because we are looking at a critical paper that exposes how this single, universally used word is literally delaying medical innovation.
And risking patient trust, honestly.
Totally. The paper is called Clarifying Validation Terminologies in Healthcare, recently published in NPJ Digital Medicine in 2026.
Authored by a massive multidisciplinary group.
Yeah, led by Amanda Dye, Yarkin K. Lenners, and the Pathology Innovation Collaborative Community, or PIcc.
And that authorship group is key. PIcc brings together experts across lab medicine, AI, industry, and regulatory science. So they have a front row seat to this communication breakdown.
Right, because the word validation is just thrown around everywhere right now, from AI labs to hospital floors to investor pitch decks.
Oh, it's everywhere.
I was thinking about this, and using the word validation in healthcare right now is, it's kind of like ordering a regular coffee in different parts of the world.
Huh, I like that. How so?
Well, if you order a regular coffee in a diner in New York, you are getting a large drip coffee with milk and sugar.
Right, classic.
But if you order a regular coffee in a cafe in Italy, you're getting a tiny shot of espresso.
Yeah, very different experiences.
It's the exact same phrase, but the local context completely dictates the output. But in healthcare, if an AI developer's definition of validated is an espresso, and the surgeon expects a drip coffee,
you risk misdiagnosing a patient.
Exactly. It's not just a bad morning.
No, the stakes are incredibly high. And to understand why this one word is causing so much friction, we really have to look at how it migrated across different scientific disciplines over the decade.
So it actually changed meaning over time.
Oh, absolutely. The paper maps out this conceptual evolution perfectly in Figure 2. If we trace the word back to its Latin root, validus, it actually means strength or effect.
Wait, really? It doesn't mean truth?
Nope, just mean something is strong.
Oh.
But then fast forward to 1946, it moves into measurement accuracy.
Okay, like physical measurements.
Yeah, scientists needed a way to prove that an instrument actually captured the physical attribute it claimed to measure. So validation became about physical accuracy.
Interesting.
And then by 1962, we see another huge shift. That's when the concept of holdout testing is introduced to the definition.
Holdout testing. Break that down for me. How does that change the word?
Well, think about before 1962. Researchers were essentially, grading their own homework. They'd build a statistical model with a set of data and then test it on that exact same data.
Oh, wow. So of course it worked. It already knew the answer.
Exactly. It's self-confirmation bias. So holdout testing forced researchers to lock away a portion of their data, completely untouched.
Right. So you train on one batch and test on the locked away batch.
Yes. To see if the model actually learned the rules or just, memorized the test. And from there, it evolved into modern regulatory fit-for-purpose assurance.
That is quite the journey for one word.
It is. What's fascinating here is that because of this layered history, the word validation now functions simultaneously as an evidence claim, a lifecycle activity, and a quality label.
So it means I have proof, I am testing, and this product is good, all at the same time.
Yes. And when people don't specify which one they mean, communication completely breaks down.
Okay, so because of this fractured meaning, nowhere is this misinterpretation more dangerous today than in AI and machine learning for healthcare.
Oh, without a doubt, it is a minefield.
But I have to push back a little. If an AI developer tells me, a healthcare professional, that their diagnostic model is validated, shouldn't I be able to trust that it's ready for my patients?
See, that assumption is exactly the trap. The paper completely dismantles this using the AI and ML domain findings.
Really?
Yeah. In AI, validation could mean at least 3 totally different things. First, there's data set validation.
Okay, what is that?
That's just checking if your raw data represents the intended population. Checking for corrupt files or missing pixels.
So it's just making sure your ingredients are fresh before you bake the cake.
Perfect analogy. Second, you have validation data. And this is where it gets really tricky, because validation data is actually used during the development phase for tuning.
Wait, tuning? Like adjusting the model while you build it?
Exactly. Like tweaking the dials on a mixing board. You feed the algorithm data, check it against the validation data, tweak the mathematical dials, and repeat.
But if they are still tweaking dials, they're still in the lab.
Yes. If a developer says they use validation data, it is not finished.
Yeah.
It is definitely not ready for the clinic.
That is terrifying. An administrator might buy it thinking it's ready to go.
It happens. And the third use is model validation, which is the final performance evaluation.
Okay, so that one means it's ready. Right.
Not necessarily. The paper points out that calling a model validated after internal cross-validation severely misrepresents its clinical readiness.
Oh, because it was only tested on data from the exact same hospital where it was built.
Exactly. It risks overfitting to a local environment. Yeah. It looks great on paper, but falls apart in the real world.
So the AI developers are basically using the word while they're still experimenting.
Yeah. And the regulatory frameworks actually explicitly discourage using the word validation during those development phases.
To discourage it, like the FDA tells them not to use it.
Yes. The paper suggests explicitly separating these phases into data representativeness, training, tuning, and testing. Avoid the word validation entirely during development.
Wow. Okay, so let's say a developer navigates all that. They finish the algorithm, and now they have to bring it into a real-world clinical pathology lab.
That is where they hit a massive cultural and regulatory wall.
I want to clarify something the paper brought up here, the distinction between analytical and clinical validation.
Oh, yes, this is crucial.
Because analytical validation is like proving a thermometer accurately reads 98.6 degrees every single time. It's technically perfect.
Right.
But clinical validation is proving that a temperature of 98.6 actually means the patient is healthy. You can have a perfectly analytical tool that is clinically useless, right? Like using that perfect thermometer to diagnose a broken leg.
That captures the divide perfectly. And here is a surprising fact from the clinical practice domain. The Clinical Laboratory Improvement Amendments.
CLIA, right. The gold standard for U.S. labs.
Yes, CLIA. They don't even use the term validation.
Wait, they don't use the word at all. What do they use?
Instead, CLIA requires labs to establish performance characteristics.
Establish performance characteristics. That is very specific.
Very. And it highlights the decentralized nature of pathology labs. Of CLIA, labs must conduct site-specific validation for their own tests.
Just for things they build in-house?
No, even site-specific verification for FDA-authorized, commercially purchased assays.
Hold on. So if a tool has an SDA stamp of approval, the local lab still has to reprove it, works on their specific computers and patients?
Yes. It's a huge contrast to other medical fields. In pharma, FDA approval is the finish line. In clinical labs, it's just the starting line.
Because of all the local variables, like how the tissue was handled or what chemical stains they used?
Exactly. All those physical variables alter the digital image. If an AI developer thinks their validated label bypasses the local lab's verification, they're in for a rude awakening.
Okay, so they navigate the AI terminology. They satisfy the clinical lab's strict performance characteristics. But now they have to get the product legally approved and financially backed.
And here, the definition shifts yet again.
I have to ask, does geography actually change the legal definition of validation? If I'm a trailblazer launching a tool in Europe versus the US, am I speaking a totally different regulatory language?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You really are. The FDA typically uses validation to mean a software function reliably meets its intended use.
Okay, focused on intended use.
Right. But European frameworks, like the IVDR, use it much more broadly. It encompasses everything from analytical performance to entire lifecycle risk management.
So a developer can't just say, we are regulatory validated. They have to say under which law and where.
Precisely. And then you bring in the business domain, which the paper warns us about.
Business validation. That usually just means product market fit, right? Or securing investor funding.
Exactly. A business model might be validated because investors really like the pitch deck or the user interface.
But it could still be completely unvalidated clinically.
Yes. If we connect this to the bigger picture, aligning business, clinical, and regulatory validation early is the only way to prevent massive delays in getting these tools to patients.
Right, because if you only have business validation, you're just selling digital snake oil.
And if you only have clinical validation but no business validation, you go bankrupt, and the tool never reaches the patient anyway.
Wow. So with all these conflicting domains, communication, AI, clinical labs, regulatory, and business, how do we actually fix this communication breakdown?
Well, we certainly don't want to get bogged down in endless red tape.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the authors of this paper are not proposing a massive new regulatory framework or like a brand new dictionary.
No, they're proposing something highly practical.
Lightweight qualifiers.
Yes. That is Consensus Proposal 1 from the paper. Explicitly define the context at the outset.
So how does that work in practice?
The authors walk through Table 2 with practical examples. So instead of writing, the model has been validated, which means nothing,
Right.
the improved wording is, the model's architecture was selected based on 5-fold internal cross-validation, and performance was reported using an external data set.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it takes an extra breath to say, but the ambiguity is just completely gone.
Exactly. We shouldn't abandon the word validation. It's too ingrained.
We just have to treat it as a conditional statement.
Right. It is no longer a binary yes or no quality label. It must be tied to a specific context, reference standard, and operational condition.
That makes so much sense. So, to summarize for our trailblazers today, the word validation is a chameleon word.
It really is.
Assuming everyone is using the word the same way is just a recipe for duplicated work, blown budgets, and compromised patient safety. You have to demand context. Ask what phase, what domain, and what standards are actually being validated.
And I want to leave everyone with a final sort of lingering question to ponder.
Oh, let's hear it.
Think about the digital tools and workflows you rely on in your practice today. How many of them are coasting on the halo effect of the word validated?
Oh, like functioning as a pseudoscientific label of trust.
Exactly. Simply because no one ever stopped to ask them. Validated for what exactly?
Wow. That is definitely something to think about next time someone hands you a pitch deck. Thank you so much for joining us for this session of the Digital Pathology Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Trailblazers, take these insights back to your interdisciplinary teams, start using those lightweight qualifiers, and we will catch you next time.
That's it for this AI Journal Club episode. If you want more like this, make sure you're subscribed to the Digital Pathology Podcast and come join us for the DigiPath Digest, our weekly live session. During these live streams, you can vote which paper becomes an AI deep dive. And if you're serious about digital pathology, grab my free book at digitalpathologyplace.com. This is the best place to start your digital pathology journey. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you in the next episode.